Alright, welcome to your first Codewars Challenges solution video. We're going to be dealing with a pretty simple problem here. As a matter of fact, when you sign up to Codewars, I believe this is the first challenge that everyone gets asked. So let's open up this challenge. If we click on multiply over here, it'll take us to the Codewars page where this challenge is given to us. Alright, it's called multiply. It's an 8 Caillou challenge, meaning it should be one of the easiest ones to do. And here's a little description of the challenge, maybe some instructions or examples. This one's pretty short. Let's just click on train, or train again in my case. Let's see what it asks us. Okay, I'm going to reset this so that you don't see my previous solution. And it says, this code does not execute properly. Try to figure out why. Okay, this code they're referring to is this code over here. All right, they're saying it's not executing properly. In other words, when we are running this function, things aren't working. It's not doing what we're expecting. Well, what are they expecting it to do? All right, well, let's see over here. When they call this function multiply and pass it two numbers, they want you to give you some sort of, they want you to give some sort of output. So if the first number is 2 and the second number is 1, they want the output to be 1. If the first number is 2 and the second number is also 2, they want the output to be 4. If the first input is 3 and the second input is 5, they want 15. You might be seeing some sort of pattern here. 3 multiplied by 5 gets you 15. 4 is the product of 2 and 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. All right, but this isn't working properly. Now, for us to see what this is currently doing, let's copy this and put it into our text editor. And let's call this function and log the results of this function to the console. All right, so that means we're going to say console.log, and inside here we're going to call the function multiply, and we're going to pass into it 2 arguments. Right? Okay. When it was defined with 2 parameters, but now we're going to pass 2 arguments into it here. So let's say 3 and 4. Right, so what would you expect this to be? Right, it should print 12 to the console, right? Because 3 times 4 is 12. Doesn't matter in what order we do that. It could be 4 times 3. It should still print 12. So let's go to our browser now, first tab, and we get undefined. Right, so it's still running the code, but we're getting back undefined. That's what's being returned to us. So we're executing this function, multiply, but we're getting back undefined. In other words, it's not doing anything to these numbers. Now let's take a look at what's actually going on here. All right, we've used the function keyword to declare a function named multiply. This is its name or identifier. It takes 2 parameters. So far, so good. And then here is the code block, or the statement that we want to run. And we're saying A times B. That little symbol there, that asterisk, is the multiplier operator. Now, the key here is that we have to understand that with a function, you've got to be a little bit more explicit. You've actually got to tell it what you want it to do after it's run that code block. So after this code block, what do we want it to do? Well, we want it to give us the value of A multiplied by B. Okay, so we want that, in other words, to return that to us. And there is such a thing as a return keyword. So if we say return A times B, then when multiply is called, and when we execute this function, it's going to return to us the value of A times B, and that's exactly what we want. All right, just put a semicolon there. It's not exactly necessary, but just to make sure. Let's go back to our browser and let's see what the console says, and it says 12. All right, so that seems to be working better now. Let's just copy this again on another line and do another test case. And I'm going to put in 2 1s. Right, 1 times 1 is 1. So this should print 1 to the console. And let's see what we get. There we go. There's 1. Let's try another example. Let's say 3 times 10. So this should print 30 to the console. Let's go to the console and we get 30. So it seems like that's all it was. That's what was missing in this function. It's just that simple return keyword. Without that, our function won't know what it's supposed to spit out on the other side. Because just remember, a function, it's basically like a computer. It takes an input, it does something to that, and it gives us an output that is in some way related to the input. All right, so I hope you found that helpful. How did you solve this challenge? Was it similar to this? Was there a way in which you could refactor this or shorten this? I hope this was helpful to you. Thanks for watching.